Hi, everybody. Am I live on YouTube right now? Hope so. Well, my tech is shaking her head. Yes. So, students, friends, um, entrepreneurs, colleagues, and everybody else out there, welcome to Mr. Natural's Electric Classroom here in San Francisco, Haight, Ashbury. What we're going to do is every week around 7:30. Right now it's 7:15 our time in Pacific Standard Time, I guess it is, right? So we are on the west coast of America, and it's about 7:20 right now. And at 7:30 every Thursday, we're going to do a live class like this. And the class will probably go for 15 minutes to a half an hour, something like that. So some of you people will be seeing it at 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, I guess, 11:30. You guys in Boston, that'll be about as late as it can go. Everyone else, someplace else in the world, well, good luck finding a slot or whatever time it is. I'm sure over in England it's 8 hours later, so it'll be like 3 in the morning. So you'll probably not watch it live. This is a live broadcast, so you can also get on there and send little comments to us, and the tech that's running the camera can let me know who's coming up and what's happening, so you will be able to ask some questions. First thing I'd like to talk about is what are we going to do. So these live lessons are going to be just like any other lesson that we have here at the classroom, except it'll be me and you privately on the YouTube that's watching us. We're going to cover basically three things. The first thing that we're going to cover is learning to hear and write down rhythms by ear. We're going to do some rhythmic ear training. We're going to teach you a method we use called code words, in which we're going to train your ear to hear rhythms, and we're also going to teach you how to write these rhythms down and how to use them on instruments. Now, in the beginning, all I'm going to do is basically just clap my hands along with a modem, and you'll be surprised, you'll be able to pick it up pretty quickly. We will do that every single week for 15 minutes every week for the next few months. The next thing I want to do on these live broadcasts is also to do some melodic and harmonic ear training. So we'll also be 1, 3, 5, 3. We'll be playing the piano, or 1, 2, 3, 5. We'll be doing little pentatonic scales and things like that in order to get some kind of ear training going with melody and harmony. So you'll be able to hear chords, you'll be able to hear melodies, and you should be able to, after a while, also learn to write those down. So we'll be showing you also how to read and write music using our intervallic method. We'll get out a whiteboard here that I have that has a staff on it, and we'll play some little melodies with some simple rhythms, and we'll write them out for you, and we'll train you how to do this. The more advanced things that will be happening in, say, 5 or 6 months, we're actually going to go into training you to be able to visually see these intervals on the staff, and we'll be teaching you how to be able to discern major from minor, from augmented, from diminished, these terms that we use in harmony, these terms we use in talking about intervals, which are basically just numbering the scale. So we will be using a number system known as an interval system. And I have a device on my piano, which you probably can't see at the moment, we'll introduce you to, called the Intervalometer. And it's a little device here that fits behind, as you can see, this little device with numbers on it. And what this thing does is it fits behind the black keys on your piano, and you can adjust it to show you any key on the piano. Right now I have it set up in its normal default for the key of C. That would be the key of C. And by moving this intervalometer into different positions, we can play all of the major scales that we want on the keyboard anywhere. We can take a piece of music, number that piece of music, and then be able to play it in any key regardless of what key it's written in. So we'll be able to modulate and to transpose into different keys for different singers, for different instruments, like that. We'll also be learning how this interval system can be applied to other instruments besides the keyboard. A lot of music theory that's out there everywhere with using the ABC system does not teach you how to get different types of instruments on the same page, pitch-wise. And we'll be showing you how to do that, and we'll be showing how the same thing on the keyboard, the theory that we're using on the keyboard, can be applied to things like strings, which for string players, people who play violin, viola, cello, our idea of half steps and whole steps don't really make that much sense to them because they don't have frets. But on fretted instruments like the banjo or the guitar, we'll be able to show the equivalence of half steps and whole steps on the piano, and then we'll be able to show that same music theory on those instruments. But any instrument that has no frets, it's a completely different type of theory. And what we're going to do is kind of dumb it down a little bit, make it simple enough that it can be applied to any instrument. Now, over the last 10 years, I have used this music theory myself to learn to play over 60 musical instruments. Now, some I play very well, and some I can just kick out a little twinkle star, that's all. But nonetheless, I've taught myself how to play 60 different musical instruments. Each one is slightly mechanically different, but we've been able to take this music theory, this numbering system that we have, and we've been able to apply that to any musical instrument and then start kicking out music. We can read any piece of music, whether it be jazz or pop or rock music, and we can play it on any musical instrument we want. So since I am familiar with the fingerings, and I'm familiar with the embouchure, and I'm familiar with the way horns work, and the way woodwinds work, and the way strings work, and the way keyboards work, and the way percussion works, I'll be able to explain mechanically what's going on those instruments and how to take this music theory and apply it to those instruments. Now, in truth, all you need is one major scale to get started with. So if you're learning to play the trumpet, for instance, if you can kick out what they call the C scale, which is actually B flat on the piano, we'll be able to play music. If you're playing a clarinet or flute, the flute is in concert pitch, so if we talk about the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the key of C, they will match the keyboard. However, if you're playing something like a clarinet, which is a transposed instrument, most clarinets, for instance, are in B flat, the C scale that's being taught to you on that instrument, sound-wise, is actually the B flat concert pitch. So we'd have to play the piano in B flat in order to match the C scale on your instrument. So it really, since we're using numbers, and it really doesn't matter what key we're reading things in, once you have a scale down and you can play do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do on any instrument, you can immediately begin to apply this music theory and start to play these songs. Now, something I'd like to mention is about 18 years ago or so, Miss Vonnie, Angel, and myself have written a book on music theory and how to use this interval or number system in order to decode music in general. And we have put out a music theory book called Music Theory Decoded, strictly by the numbers. And this book is our main theory book. This will cover everything that you will study if you go to Berkeley College or Juilliard, or you're in some music school somewhere. They usually have a 2 or a 4-year course. This will get you through that course. In this book, we also have the device we're talking about called the intervalometer. And in the back of this book here is an intervalometer. It can be Xeroxed and then cut out, pasted together, and put on your piano so you can read and follow everything in this book. This book is available on Amazon.com right now, but the publisher is Lulu.com. Lulu Press published this, and I think sometimes you can get it cheaper there, sometimes it's cheaper on Amazon. We don't know. We find the prices vary. So please go there and get yourself a copy of this book. This by itself will get you through most things that you do not understand in music theory. We break them down, we color code everything. We have pretty little cartoons and pictures in here that will help you understand what's going on. We also have created 2 books. One book here is called Songs by Numbers. And this has a lot of kids songs in there, a lot of the songs everybody knows, like Mary Had a Little Lamb, you know, and things like Rub-a-Dub-Dub and The Bear Went Over the Mountain and those kinds of kids type songs. And they've all been enumerated. So we have developed our own method, which we refer to as piano tab. And in piano tab, we have put here the numbers that would produce the melody, and we've put over those numbers Roman numerals for expressing the chords. And we'll explain how that works. But if you have, say you're playing trombone and you want to learn to play the trombone, all you need to do is learn to get one scale, do, re, mi, on your trombone, number it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you can start playing every single song that's in this book. And this book is arranged from simple melodies to more complex melodies as it goes on. And if you get through this book, you'll be able to pretty much play that instrument well. The other thing we did is we put out another book here called Christmas Carol Fate Book. And again, in the Christmas Carol Fate Book, we're using our piano tab method for notating things. And we have the numbers, interval numbers for the songs here, and we have the Roman numeral chords, which we'll explain later. And this has, a bunch of, I guess we got about 20 of most popular songs, like Away in the Manger, you know, Deck the Halls, Good King Wenceslas, etc., etc. These books can also be found at lulu.com. Now, I don't know if the Christmas book and if the Songs by Number book are on Amazon. Amazon has some funny trip going on about the spiral bound. We like to keep the plastic spiral bound because we found over the years it lasts the longest. If you have these books here, which are solid, what will happen is as you keep opening these books up and folding them back, eventually the binding will crack and these songs will fall out. But these are the kinds of books that Amazon will publish for us, and they will not publish the spiral bound. So you'll have to go to lulu.com for that. So to summarize this again, we're going to start next week at 7:30, which is the time right now. And from 7:30 until 7:45, or from 7:30 until 8 o'clock every week, we will be transmitting live to you on the internet on Strictly by the Numbers channel. And we will bring to you a live lesson starting with rhythm. And we'll teach you how to hear rhythms. We'll teach you how to dictate rhythms. We'll teach you how to play them. We'll teach you how to write them down. The important thing is being able to hear them and write them down. And then as time goes on, we will add the theory of ear training for melody and ear training with chords. And then later we'll also be showing how it's applied to the staff and this new method that we use of reading music by number on the staff. Now the staff itself has a C major bias. The way it's written with no sharps or flats, what they call the key of C, on the staff paper exactly matches the white keys on the piano. And when you put the intervalometer in the key of C on the white keys, those numbers and the keys on the piano and the staff all align up with each other quite nicely. So the first thing is to learn how to read that staff using C as a bias. And then later we'll show you how to move it around into different keys and still be able to, in the advanced form, read major, minor, intervals, augmented, diminished intervals, etc. I suggest for those of you who are in a hurry that we have down in the corner there a playlist that says Learning to Read Music by Number. And if you go to that, I have already interval drills there to teach your eye how to see the major intervals on the staff. That's enough to get started with simple diatonic melodies. Later, when we go into more advanced melodies where we have sharps and flats in there and things become more chromatic and we start using minor and diminished and augmented intervals, that requires a different drill which we do not have online. We'll be doing that live here. So, welcome to the classroom, everybody. I hope this works well. We've just got ourselves an iPad Pro here, which is what we're transmitting on. We've never transmitted live before. We hope this works. We have lots of problems with our internet connection here. We have one of the oldest DSLs in the city's history, and the fastest we can upload is 512 kbytes. So that's not good enough for most video. So right now I'm using a hotspot, which we're paying for, which does give us a higher upload speed. So we're going to try both of our modems, and we're looking around right now for another service. But the Haight Ashbury here is literally, even though we're just miles from Silicon Valley, we are in the dark ages. And there are no service providers in this area that seem to have the high speed. So until we can find one, we're going to be confined to doing most of this stuff in low-res graphics, and we might wind up with a lot of camera crashes. I don't know. Welcome to the wonderful world of electronics for musicians, all right? So, nice talking to you all. We'll be seeing you in the near future here. This thing can go on as long as we want. When we're transmitting live, I could do what my friend Pyro does and have a 7-hour lesson. Someday we might do that, because I do tend to talk until the sun burns out. We do have a lot of subjects to cover, and therefore I might actually stretch this a little bit longer. But for right now, you can count on at least 15 minutes from 7:30 my time until 7:45, from 7:30 until 8 o'clock every Thursday from now on. So I'd like to say thank you all. Thank you all you YouTube people out there. Please subscribe and go buy our book, Music Theory Decoded. Can't miss me. Big guy with glasses and a beard and a big nose. And you'll see it at lulu.com, and this book can also be bought on Amazon. Sometimes it's actually cheaper on Amazon because they buy in bulk. So I would check both places. So until then, thank you. Have a good evening, good day, and we'll see you next week. Push the button. You don't know where the button is. Excuse me while I leave frame. Okay. I would assume it's the X. Try it. There we go.